Hey guys, and welcome to my character creation review for Grand Theft Auto Online. Today I'm going to be doing things a little bit different. Instead of going through the options and then giving you my analysis later, I'm going to try going through the list of my criteria of the character creation system and sort of just talk about each aspect and show you the character creation system at the same time. Alright, and just in case you forgot or this is the first video you're watching, that's diversity, slider quality, clothing, the limitations and restrictions, accessibility and gameplay, and as I go down the list I'll explain what I'm looking for in each of those categories. So first up we've got diversity, that's skin color, uh, things like hair types, European hair types versus Afro hair types and braids and all that, as well as hair color and things like that, skin texture, so you can get a diverse range of different characters that you can create, so you're not running around looking exactly like everyone else. And that, although it does include clothing, it's separated the clothing since we're mainly just focused on the actual face and body of the characters. So with this game you pick your parents and you've got your resemblance here to look more like your mother or your father, and the nice touch here is to change your skin tone, so you've got a good bit of diversity there with the skin. Of course with this game specifically it's kind of challenging to make the exact character you want, so you'll have to spend a good bit of time choosing the parents so you can get a decent basis for the face that you want. And unfortunately this doesn't come with any body sliders, so it does take a little bit of a dip in its rating for the diversity, especially in the slider category. But let's take a look at the hairstyles. So you can see there's a good bit of variety here. There's some braids. And I believe there are more hairstyles that you can unlock within the game, like there's a barbershop or a hair salon or whatever you want to call it in the game. Alright, now let's go back and take a look at the males. We'll also look at the parents for this. So yeah, even though you can't change your body, you can get a pretty good variety of faces here. So yeah. Alright, let's take a look at the male hairs. Let's change the color of that. Yeah, again, a good variety of straight hair, curly hair, braids, buzz cuts, dreadlocks for the males. A lot of different cuts and things like that. Alright, now let's go into the textures. So you got aging, so you can make younger or older characters. So you got various skin textures, and I believe they show up on the body as well. And these options are also available for female, and you've got makeup for both men and women, just in case you wanted to have that, I guess. Different eye colors. So yeah, there's a good bit of diversity when it comes to making new characters, and like I said before, a large part of the diversity is going to come from the clothing, but as you can see here, you can make plenty of different faces. So we move on to the slider quality, and like I said, it's there's no body slider. So when a game usually has sliders, all my ratings are based out of 10. So when a game doesn't have a body slider and does have a face slider, it's automatically like the baseline for that is a 5, assuming the face slider is perfect. But this one isn't perfect because it doesn't, there's not a huge range, as you can see. Not much of a difference between lowest to highest, and all the sliders are kind of like that. It's decent enough, it's not too terrible. If you play around with the character's parents to get different combinations for a base face and then play with the sliders a little bit, you get a decent range of characters, but it would have really helped if you had a body slider. That way you could further distinguish your character from other characters, if you have them really big or really skinny, muscular, things like that. Alright, so the slider quality is okay, but it really hurts the score by not having a body slider. And I guess it's kind of understandable since maybe they didn't want to do too much with because they'd have to also stretch out all the clothing and all of that. And I'm no game developer, so there's no telling how impossible that is. Although I've seen it in other games, so I wouldn't imagine it's impossible. But who knows? And there are a lot of different clothing, so who knows how that works. But anyway, we'll look at the female slider quality just really fast, just to. In fact, I'll just press the random button. Let's see. Okay, that controls that. Okay, yeah, you can see a different variety of characters overall. And yeah, I don't know if I mentioned it already, but it's kind of hard to create a good looking character, or especially the character that you want specifically, but it's possible. I've seen some decent characters while playing online myself. So yeah, different. And you can see the clothing changes also, and of course there's like, I don't know, hundreds, maybe thousands of different clothing pieces between male and female characters. And you can change, the torso, pants, shoes. You can have gloves and watches and shades, necklaces, earrings, headphones, a ton of different hats. So for clothing, it definitely gets a high score, but it does take a little bit of a penalty because you can't actually recolor any of the clothing. So like this tank top or the wife beater, whatever this is that he has on, you're limited to the colors that this comes in. You can see here it comes in this multicolor. Or these shorts, you can't color them. Like if it's not available in green, then you can never have this style of shorts in green. Or you can't have like a full certain color of suit. But there is, plenty of variety. Like here's a pink suit jacket. Alright, so limitations with race and gender. There aren't any real restrictions because, this is Grand Theft Auto. There aren't any classes, female characters and male characters aren't locked out of certain aspects of the game, like anything that one character can do, all characters can do. And for clothing, Obviously, there aren't going to be equivalents for every single piece of clothing. Like, not all guys, or no, guys won't have any skirt variations. Like, there's not a alternative for a skirt like this for guys, but it's understandable. So it gets a high rating for limitations because there aren't any limitations. Most clothing has a counterpart for male and female, and those that don't, it makes sense that they don't. Although I believe there are some clothing pieces that would work for both that both don't have. And I'm not sure if male characters have access to earrings or not. I imagine they do, since they sort of do in the main story game. I believe the character Franklin can wear earrings. I'm not sure. I'll have to check that out later. Alright, in accessibility, what I mean by accessibility, is are you gonna have to purchase DLC in order to get certain clothing pieces, or with real money, or for other games like like Skyrim or Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, for example, are you gonna have to use an outside program or modify it, or other games where you have to go into Photoshop or something yourself in order to get a decent variety and things like that. And it gets a high rating again there because although people do mod this game, it's not really like a big deal to mod something so that you get the exact clothing that you want, especially since modding isn't allowed online, so that's really irrelevant. And then of course with the DLC, I don't believe, yeah, there's no DLC that you have to purchase in this game as of yet anyway. And I think Rockstar's generally been pretty good with the way they do DLC. Like, they include actual content, and the content for this game specifically has always been free. You just have to purchase it with in-game money, and it can be really expensive as far as the in-game money goes. And they do sell the currency. It's pretty easy to just earn money within the game itself and not have to completely worry about spending real life money. So again, it gets a high score there. And finally, gameplay, which I'll get into maybe after at the end of the video. Gameplay is pretty good, and what I mean by gameplay is if the game is mediocre, does the character creation system make up for it? And if the character creation system is mediocre, does the game make up for it? And while I would say this character creation system is above average, like even if it's not good enough for some people, I would say the gameplay kind of does actually make up for it. Like, you'll mostly probably spend your time buying clothes for your characters rather than worried about what they look like. Although there is currently no way to change the way your character looks, so once you create your character, it's stuck like that forever, no matter what. Although there is a glitch that still works, as far as I know, where you can change the look of your character by making a new character, leveling up to 6, and then you get a prompt that lets you change the character one more time, your level 6 character one more time, and then basically what you do is you disconnect from the internet, and then it'll kick you out of the game, and then you go into single player, you come back in to the you hook up the internet again, you come back as I think you choose your character, and then it'll allow you to change your main character's face again. You can just Google it or look it up on YouTube. I'm sure I got it wrong, but I've done it myself a while back and it's possible. So yeah, that's a little tip for you. Alright, and my character is actually a female character, so I'll go ahead and just show you a montage of various outfits that I created for her myself, and then we'll end it with my complete analysis, and I'll give everything the final score. Alright, and now I'll go ahead and give my
Yeah,
analysis.
I was a pirate last week. Stiletto pop
So
on every aisle.
diversity, I gave that a 7.5
Word.
out of 10.
Just no good high five.
Like I said before, there's plenty of skin options, plenty of, facial features, plenty of hairstyles and different colors and things like that. And then of course the diversity really comes in the amount of clothes that I'm going through here. These are just suit jackets, and you can see that there's a lot of different colors and things like that, different styles. So again, that's 7.5. And for slider quality, I gave that a 3.5. Now again, it's so low because there's no body slider, no height adjustments or anything like that, and that automatically brings it down to about a 5 if the facial sliders were perfect, but they aren't. So I gave it about a 3.5, and if they had a body slider and it was on par with the facial sliders, then that would probably be about a 7, which I think is pretty decent. But since the face slider is going at it alone, I gave it a 3.5. And now for the clothes, I gave that an 8 because there's a lot of variety here for both male and female characters. But like I said before, you can actually change the color, but you can layer it. Like you can wear a jacket, and then you can wear something under the jacket. Let's see. I'll put this on, and you can put a t-shirt up under, as you can see here. So it gets a pretty high score, and you can also wear gloves and various types of shoes. Here's some pants, as you can see here. So yeah, if you were able to color the clothing as you saw fit, then I would definitely give it a higher score, but since you can, it gets an 8. And limitations and restrictions, I gave that a 9 because there aren't any. And the reason it doesn't get a perfect score is because there aren't any exact equivalents to the game. Like I believe male characters get a long coat, like sort of a trench coat almost, but the female characters don't really get that. And I assume that there are some clothing items that female characters have that male characters don't get an equivalent to. And for accessibility, I gave that a 9 because again, there's no DLC that you have to purchase in order to have access to various clothing. So it gets a high score, and the reason it doesn't get a 10 is because you do have to purchase clothing in the game, and a lot of it is really expensive. Like if we go down to overcoats, you can see they're almost like $20,000 in game each. So you do have to sort of grind a bit, which can be kind of tedious just to get clothing items, but that's a part of the game, so I didn't give it too much of a penalty for that. And now for gameplay, I gave that an 8.5 out of 10. And the game is pretty fun, although it is on PC and there are hackers everywhere. You can't really fault the game for that because that's just the nature of online games, and people are gonna want to cheat a lot when they can. So it gets a decent score, and the character creation system is decent by itself, even if the gameplay weren't that great, which it's pretty good, I would say.
Enjoy.
So the overall score is about a 7.5, but I'll boost that up to an 8 out of 10 simply because there's just so many outfits, and then I didn't even touch on the ability to customize cars almost any way you want. There are some restrictions there, like you can't create everything, but you know there's a lot of different parts for each types of cars, and there's, I don't know how many exactly, but probably like hundreds of cars and trucks and vans and motorcycles that you can choose from, that you can just customize with various like wheel types and color different parts and stuff. So I'd say overall it deserves an 8 out of 10. And you can also have tattoos for your character and things like that. You can't color them, but there are plenty of tattoos to choose from, and I believe you can also wear them, so you can have 2 or 3 different tattoos on one arm and all your other parts as well, your torso and your back. So yeah, it's a pretty decent system, I think. And so thank you for watching, and if you'd like to, you can leave a comment, maybe subscribe, and maybe also like the video if you liked it. Thank you for watching.